The history of forest in the northeast of Assam starts from the 1826. So if you are keeping a note of what I am speaking, maybe there should be some takeaway from such kind of seminars, isn't it? Such takeaways, I can give you few threads, few interesting points that all of you are doing your masters. At some point of time, you have to hone up your skills apart from your masters. You have to develop some skills, some area of interest in research where you'd like to go further, isn't it? So maybe from my speech or other faculty members who actually visit such, you try to pick up what is your area of interest so that you can go ahead in future, right? So from Treaty of Yardabo 1826 starts the entire history of Assam when the Britishers actually took over control of Assam. And 1836 is the watershed because for the first time tea was discovered and large tracts of forest was cleared for expanding tea gardens. And scientific forestry in Assam started somewhere in 1864. Britishers invited German foresters actually to start forestry. By scientific forestry, they have a tradition of maintaining a lot of records, So when you see those records, they give the statements that war on the forest ended with the annexation of by Britishers. War on the forest. As if the locals were destroying the forest and they came, but their agenda was different. It was a production forestry. They wanted the forest for timbers. But in the process, they introduced a lot of scientific element into the management of forest. And maybe the presence of whatever forest we have now, it is a legacy of those scientific forestry that Britishers started way back in 1864. In fact, Assam's history is so, not only Assam, entire Northeast I would say, because it was entirely Assam only. It was a forerunner in forest conservation or scientific forestry. The first Forest Act was notified in 1891, Assam Forest Regulation, and it was followed by subsequently other states and the Indian Forest Act. Indian Forest Act came in 1925. So, what we have learnt in forestry in Assam by the foresters, the British foresters, by German foresters, that was later on replicated by the entire country. And you can collect a lot of details about those issues in famous writers like Arupjati Baisya from Assam. He writes he documented a lot of things in forestry, what happened in colonial times, what happened now. Then you have Mahesh Rangarajan, Rajiv Handikoi. These are some authors which you can always look for to see, to know further. Why I am mentioning this thing, there used to be a lot of judicial reports and administrative reports of government of in the British India, which are still maintained in the archives. So I am just showing you some, it is not visible maybe, but just I will tell you some figures. In 1858 to 63, 1820 and 821 number of persons were killed by tiger. Okay, within a span of 5 years. In Gwalpara, 74 persons were killed. In Kamrup, 229 persons were killed by tigers. In Darang, 65. Nagaon, 334. It was called Nagaon at the time. Kachar, 26. Sylhet, 64. It was part of Assam only. So total, within a 5 years, span of 5 years, 1821 human beings were killed by tiger. 44 persons killed by leopard. You see that the number of wild animals there used to be. Another figure, another data, 1966 to 69. Within a span of 3 years, in various other places, similarly, Kamrup, 110 persons were killed by tigers. In Gwalpara, 37 persons were killed. In Sylhet alone, 1,121 human beings were killed by tigers. You just see the persons killed by tigers at that time. So the density of tigers and wild animals, especially elephants and tigers, was such. Snake bites also used to die. Then the British officers, they used to announce money for killing animals. 7 rupees per, in 1850s, 7 rupees per tiger. That was the award that was announced for killing tigers. Okay. 2 annas for killing one poisonous snake. That was given to the locals. So this was, if this data just, you can just imagine the number of the kind of wild, because these are the two biodiversity hotspots, Western Ghats and the Eastern Himalayas, isn't it? These are actually islands of cradles of your evolutionary cradle. In fact, you might, from botany, you might be knowing about Takhtajan, isn't it? He is a taxonomist. He used to call from Assam till Fiji, this is the cradle of flowering plants. Lot of species of rice variety, lemon variety, banana, they're huge, isn't it? So after showing this thing, let me come to the present state. Now what we are having, So altogether, if you see, we have, I will not go into technical details. Altogether, we have 17,000 square kilometer of reserve forests. So I am just telling you what is reserve forest, what is protected reserve forest, proposed reserve forest, what are wildlife sanctuary, national parks. These are, you might be having an idea of those things, so still I will just reiterate. Reserve forests are notified reserve forest. Most of them were notified way back in mid of 19th century, early second half of 19th century, 1850s, 1890s, 1891, likewise. Proposed reserve forests were those reserve forests where government felt at some point of time that it is quite good, vegetation is very good, let us protect it. So in the next phase, it is notified as a reserve forest. So altogether, we have in our state around 333 reserve forests, 312 reserve forests, and 145 proposed reserve forest. Okay. Now, why I am telling you this figure, we have total 17 lakh hectares. If you convert it into hectares, out of that, as of now, the encroachment is around 3.17 lakh hectares. This is the figure which I wanted to emphasize. Okay. Now, what are the drivers of these encroachments? We'll talk about those issues and how it actually happened. If you see the State of Forest report, you should always try to look into those reports because your subject is very much close to forestry. State of Forest report is a report which is published by Forest Survey of India, fsi.nic.in. If you go through this website, you will see the State of Forest report are published with every 2 years, and they are giving description about every districts of India. They are telling that what happened in last 2 years, before that, and every 2 years, consecutive 2 years, you get. So last FSI report was published in 2019, State of Forest report. Before that, 2017. So I have just put on some figures in the slide to see how forest cover is increasing. In 2013, it was 35.28. There was a dip in 2015, 35.22%. Then again, there is a rise, 35.83%. And 2016, there is a rise to 36.11%. The recorded forest area, it remains same. Okay, those proposed reserve forest area, those PRFs, that remains same. But if there is a rise in the forest area, that is partially because of vegetation coming up in some community resource area, which was not under occupation previously. Maybe for some reason it has come under increase in forestry cover. Then this State of Forest report, you will see there is a classification of type of forest, the very dense forest, then medium density forest, open forest, scrub forest. Very dense forest means the canopy cover is 70 to 100%, it is totally covered. In medium density it is 40 to 70% canopy cover. Open forest is below 40, and scrub is below 10. Okay. When we see this difference, what happened in 2017, 15, 13 and 20, some very stark changes you can see. Open forest has practically increased. Open forest increase means it is not a good sign. It means a lot of area has opened up, isn't it? So around 1670 square kilometer area in the open forest has increased. Means the quality of forest has gone down in 1670 square kilometer. very big area. You can see in this report what is happening in various districts. So few districts I pointed out. Try to delve further what is the reason. Maybe it can take up as assignment in your masters. In Karbi Anglong, the change was detected 93.82 square kilometer area lost. Reduction in forest area. 93.82 square kilometer, huge. Kokrajhar 8.57 square kilometer. Dima Hasao minus 3.077. Dibrugarh minus 1.77. Kachar 0.66 square kilometer area. These are the changes in the forest area in the present day. You know. So basically, when we talk about the degradation of forest, let us go through one case. Maybe the same thing is actually true for other places also. I will be showing you some Landsat imageries, satellite imageries. This is from Sonitpur district. 1973, you get the first satellite imagery. This is one area where you should actually gain expertise. This satellite imageries are all free of cost, easily downloadable. Okay, and the best software I think is the QGIS as of now. You must be reading also in your course curriculum. If you are not, you should. So you should learn how to use satellite images, how to download them, how to analyze them. These are called FCC, false color composite chart. Okay, and this is one of the first images available is from 1973 onwards. Before that, you don't find any satellite images. Okay, so whatever is red is basically it is a green. So if this is the first image I am showing you. This is part of Sonitpur district. In the left from Charidwar, Sonai Rupai, Balipada, Namari National Park, then Naudwar Reserve Forest, Bishwanath Reserve Forest, Bihali, Gopur. It would have been very interesting if you could show in the whole this thing screen. Anyway, in 1988, substantially there was a huge destruction of forest because of intense encroachment, and this is the image from 1994, where you will see that around 40-50% of the area was encroached upon. Okay. 1999, Gopur RF is gone, Singlijan is gone, Bishwanath RF is finished, Naudwar RF is finished. Only Namari National Park was left. If you can remember the flag of map of Assam, the interstate boundary, the foothills along the Arunachal Pradesh, then this entire northern belt is basically Bhabbar belt, isn't it? Bhabbar belt and lot of rivers flowing from the northern reaches to Brahmaputra, tributaries of Brahmaputra. You have Jiawarali river, you have Borgang river, you have Dulung river. Lot of rivers are flowing. This entire degradation happened in just a span of 10 to 15 years. And we lost almost 743 square kilometer of area in that entire belt till 2019 and 2000. Why it happened? It is not a forum to discuss those issues. Why it happened? But it has resulted in things which you cannot imagine. These are some of the scientifically published documents in current science, which you can actually go through to look into the techniques that was adopted to find out that degradation happened. Then another thing is interstate border dispute. In Assam has interstate border disputes with Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Hailakandi. In Hailakandi and Kachar district has a dispute with Mizoram. Kamrup East, Kamrup has a dispute with Meghalaya. Jorhat has a dispute with Nagaland. And then Golaghat, Nagaland, and then Sonitpur, Bishwanath, Lakhimpur, Dhemaji has with Arunachal Pradesh. The worst component that is affected because of the dispute is forest. And surprisingly, there is no dispute about forest. All the states, they are not ever considered about forest. They are considered dispute is about the boundary. They are telling the boundary is still there. He's telling no, the boundary is there. That is fine. But none of them disputes about the credibility or the presence of reserve forest area. In fact, there is a case in the Supreme Court, civil suit 1/89, where all the states are party, and Assam and states they are fighting the case. But you will not find anywhere, nobody contest about the credibility of the reserve forests. But in the whole process, who is the loser? First. We have lost around 2.5 lakh hectares of forest because of the interstate border dispute. Why I am telling you these figures? Not because all of us, in fact all of you, at some point of time, we are also members of the society in opinion building up, isn't it? So, what I am showing you is a satellite imagery of a small place as a reserve forest in Sonitpur district called Bihali Reserve Forest. The total area was around 14,000 hectares of this reserve forest. At present, only 7,000 hectares is present. The rest of them enclosed from the Arunachal side. Okay. Arunachal government has constructed their thana, they have constructed their roads, hospitals, everything they have constructed. So the dispute is about the boundary. It was never about the reserve forest. But ultimately the loss was to the forest. In fact, when we sit in the meetings and all, the interstate border disputes meetings and all, we only make this plea that if you have an issue with the boundaries, that is fine, but protect your forest also. It is your forest as well, our forest as well. Basically, forest is not. I don't think it is owned by this generation only. It's not our property. We may be enjoying it. We are simply custodians. We have to pass it down to the next generation. That is our prime duty. But in the whole process of development, race of development and all, we tend to forget those things. When there is a huge deforestation and all, it leads to fragmentation of habitat. Now what happens because of fragmentation of habitat? Two populations, they simply get disturbed. There is no mixing, and because of that, a lot of wild animals especially, because of less exchange of genetic material, they tend to express the inferior genes. You might have read about inbreeding depressions, isn't it? So our genetic variability of wild animals, especially elephants, rhinos, it keeps on decreasing. Even in fact tigers also, a lot of inbreeding depressions are there. Recently we saw a tiger, you might have come across in Facebook also, white kite color, albino tiger, isn't it? These are what? These are expression of inferior genes. It shows that something is wrong. So next, with the habitat fragmentation comes actually the wild elephants. The population of wild elephant in Assam is very huge. It is around 5,000. Number of human beings killed by elephants in last 15 years, not last 15 years, in 2003 to 2017, is 1,001 human beings were killed. 1,000 persons, mean every year 100 persons are being killed by wild elephants. You just imagine 100 persons being killed in a terrorist attack, how much news it will be, what a big news, isn't it? But 100 persons being killed by elephants every year is not a news. So these are some areas which we need to think of. There is a huge destruction of crop and properties. This figure is from 2018 figure. Maximum death is from Dhansiri division. This cause of conflicts mostly because of establishment of fragmentation of habitat, encroaching upon the forest. In Sonitpur alone, in year 2000, around 16 elephants were killed in one place by poisoning. Then these animals have a long-ranging animal. Okay. So this is what figure I was telling. 22 elephants were poisoned in a day. 62 elephants were killed, died in 91 to 2002 in Sonitpur alone. So why it happened is happening because of establishment of tea gardens in the corridors, then croplands while animals are poisoned. These are some scenes which maybe you might have seen in television a lot of time. The elephants are driven away from the villages. Elephants are shot also by country-made guns. 15 elephants died in Assam in a train hit alone in 2016 alone. In Nagaon, at one place, 6 elephants were hit by a speeding train in Nagaon, in somewhere near Lamting. Initially, there was the frequency of train was very less. Elephants knew the timing of trains, so they used to cross very frequently. With the increase in number of frequent trains, and there was a lot of incident of train hits by and elephants were killed. Poaching is one issue, definitely, for tusk. For meat and body parts, this looks obsolete. This look like it looks very bad, but it is a fact. It is being killed, and for body parts, for meats also. For protection of property and croplands, elephants are poisoned. After post-mortem, we usually take out such kind of boards from inside their body up during post-mortem. Basically it is killed by country-made firearms, local weapons. They get septicemia and they die with a slow death. Both intentional and unintentional poisoning is one thing. Then by electrocution, direct supply, that all the gardens and all, they put farmers, they put high voltage line directly to around their crop, and the elephants die very instant death with electrocution. You might have seen a lot of razor blade fencings nowadays, no? Concertina coils, very sharp. So, and for the elephants, this trunk is the main thing. It's like our hand. So this one baby elephant, it damaged, it injured its trunk. It was cut basically, and till now it is being fed by us because it can take food. It has become handicapped. So altogether, this is one figure I was showing from the data set. Because of a train accident, how much death, electrocution, how many accidental poisoning, injury. It's not that everything is in a very bad shape. Okay, so basically how we are dealing with this thing and man-human conflict, only because of public support it is possible. It's not that department can do some magic out of it to solve it. It is a fallout of issues like encroachment, expansion of tea garden, human habitation. In fact, in Assam you will see, through a study we have seen that forests outside the reserve forest also decreased a lot. There used to be a lot of areas which we call Saloni, village grazing reserves. These were actually, it should be exclusively used for medicinal purpose, those kind of things. But we are wasting it by burning it, making plastics and all. So, with this I end my speech. It would have been better if you could interact actually with a lot of graphics and all. But anyways, I will email this presentation to you, and please feel free to contact me for anything. And can I get some questions? Okay, I will run through three slides quickly. Sorry, I have time? Time, Asir? Okay. Okay. Some three stories I am just running through very quickly. It is out of context, but I think it is interesting. In Europe in early 80s, there was a lot of cases of peptic ulcer. Okay, it is a big problem. It's a big medical problem. A study was commissioned And study began, and then finally they studied frogs. Frogs usually keep their eggs inside, and when the young ones grow, they gurgle it out. Okay. So then the enzyme was isolated from the stomach lining of the frog. Why it is not digested by the enzymes? How it is preventing? So from that enzyme, finally the cure for peptic ulcer was found. Second story is about Malaysia. Malaysia is a country where you see fruit export is a big industry, export of fruits. They commissioned some study, they brought in some consultant, and consultant suggested some ideas. Okay, because of you are taking a lot of time in loading and unloading of fruits, so you need to make jetties so that loading and unloading is easy. Big ships can come, you can take more fruits outside, your things will increase. They started clearing a lot of mangrove trees in this area, and they made jetties, and then subsequently production increased manifold. After 5 to 6 years, suddenly production fell down. Then again one study was commissioned. It was found that the bats are the main pollinators, and they used to stay, their habitat is mangrove forest, and because of making these jetties, they cleared all the mangroves. Third story about Ireland, you all know about potato famine, isn't it? Why it didn't happen overnight. It slowly the famine occurred actually in Ireland. It's because of what? Intense selection of potato. Every generation, it was fine selection was there. They finally had a single variety of potato across the country, and it resulted in 100% damage, and many people perished, and many people migrated, isn't it?